Number 11. Christine FENSOME. In September of 2016, 10 days after her wedding, English woman Christine FENSOME and her partner were honeymooning in Mexico. During the trip, the 54-year-old had a grouper fish dinner, which made her severely ill. Her condition rapidly deteriorated, and FENSOME suffered a fatal heart attack. Her death was subsequently attributed to ciguatera fish poisoning. Symptoms include numbness, weakness, vomiting, diarrhea, and in rare cases like FENSOME's, heart complications. In recent years, ciguatoxin has reportedly become more prevalent in reefs around the world, including in the Gulf of Mexico, due to global warming. It's originally made by a marine organism called Gambia discus toxicus, which grows on and around coral reefs. The organisms are consumed by herbivorous fish, which then fall prey to larger carnivores like grouper, barracuda, sturgeon, or sea bass. By moving up the food chain, the toxins become more concentrated. Number 10. Family pufferfish poisoning. In 2019, 2 residents of Probolinggo in East Java died and 2 others fell violently ill following severe pufferfish poisoning. Baidawi, his wife Suhaina, and their sons had caught and prepared the fish. While considered a delicacy in some cultures, these animals are among the most poisonous vertebrates in the world. The liver and skin may contain tetrodotoxin, which is roughly 1,200 times more toxic to humans than cyanide, and which doesn't have an antidote. In Japan, the pufferfish dish is called fugu, and chefs trained for years in learning how to prepare it. According to one of the younger members, the family had eaten the same species before without any health complications. On February the 8th, however, they started feeling nauseous, dizzy, and their throats felt warm. They were taken to a health center where the parents were pronounced dead while their sons received supportive treatment. Number 9. JEANETTE LEBLANC. In September of 2017, Texas woman JEANETTE LEBLANC was visiting family in Louisiana. While there, she went crabbing and also bought a bag of raw oysters from a market in Westwego. LeBlanc and her friend reportedly ate about 24 oysters together. Roughly 2 days later, LeBlanc had trouble breathing and a rash on her legs. The 55-year-old woman thought it to be an allergic reaction, but she'd actually contracted flesh-eating bacteria and developed a condition called vibriosis. It's caused by Vibrio bacteria, which can come from contaminated shellfish or enter the body through an open wound in brackish water or salt water. It's particularly dangerous for people with compromised immune systems and, in severe cases, may result in limb amputation or death. LeBlanc gradually became worse as the infection wrought havoc on her legs. The woman would spend the next 21 days fighting for her life until she ultimately succumbed to the disease in mid-October. Number 8. Wantana fuchco. In spite of their common name, horseshoe crabs are more closely related to spiders and scorpions than they are to crustaceans. Some of the crab species are poisonous, while others are safe to eat. Therefore, misidentification can produce tragic results. 46-year-old Wantana fuchco from Phuket, Thailand, had collected over a dozen horseshoe crabs from a forest mangrove. She believed them to be a harmless variation, but they were actually Carcinoscorpius rotundicuda, which often contain lethal tetrodotoxin. After Fuchco grilled and ate a crab, she vomited and couldn't walk straight. As her mother took her to the hospital, the woman's condition worsened. An ambulance was called which intercepted them, but in spite of the emergency responders' CPR attempts, Fuchco was pronounced dead. Hers wasn't an isolated case, and in the past, the Thai Ministry of Public Health had warned that consuming mangrove horseshoe crabs can be deadly. Number 8. WANG. In 2020, a Chinese man only identified as Wang suffered horrific health complications, which doctors believed were a result of his exotic food preferences. Wang's diet often included crayfish, live river snails, and raw seafood. On one occasion, he even ate a raw snake gallbladder. For months, the man had trouble breathing. He went to a hospital in Zhejiang in eastern China's Jiangsu province. It was there that a CT scan revealed that his lungs were riddled with worms. The condition, called paragonomyiasis, is caused by a parasitic flatworm, commonly known as the lung fluke. It's a foodborne illness that can last for years, with symptoms resembling those of pneumonia or stomach flu. Doctors immediately began treatment in an effort to rid Wang of the worm infestation in his lungs. Number 6. Kevin Davis. In November of 2018, the Jamaican teenager lost his life as a result of acute ackee poisoning. Shortly after leaving his home, 19-year-old truck driver Kevin Davis had breakfast at a restaurant. It consisted of corn, pork, and ackee, an exotic fruit from the soapberry family. The national fruit of Jamaica, ackee is among the country's most popular food items. The arils, which are the outgrowths that cover the seeds, have been described as a delicacy when ripe and properly cooked. However, parts of the fruit that aren't ripe contain toxins called hypoglycin A and hypoglycin B. They're the primary cause of Jamaican vomiting sickness, an acute condition that's potentially deadly. Davis collapsed almost immediately after eating his breakfast and was pronounced dead at the scene. His grieving mother suspected that the teenager might have been intentionally poisoned, since the onset of symptoms was so sudden and violent. Number 5. Dead from live octopus. In South Korea, eating live octopus is considered a delicacy, but there's also a serious choking hazard that comes with the practice. Younger octopi are consumed whole, while larger ones are cut up, and their still moving tentacles are ingested. Since the suction cups on the limbs are still active, pieces can get lodged in a person's throat. In April of 2010, a man only identified as Kim checked into an Incheon City motel with his girlfriend after buying 2 live octopi. The woman named Yoon stopped breathing after eating one of the animals. She was rushed to a hospital where she died 16 days later. While initially considered an accident, the case was also investigated as a potential murder at the behest of the victim's family. Yoon had reportedly taken out a life insurance policy prior to her death of an estimated $190,000, with Kim as the sole beneficiary. The case made it to South Korea's Supreme Court, where Kim was eventually acquitted. Number 4. Bullfrog poisoning. In March of 2017, an unnamed man from South Korea died after eating a poisonous toad. The 57-year-old was part of a group of men who'd caught 5 amphibians near the city of Daejeon. A few days later, the men cooked and ate them at a restaurant. After the meal, the victim started vomiting and was rushed to a hospital. In spite of supportive treatment attempts, he suffered fatal cardiac arrest the following morning. The others in the group reported similar symptoms, but they survived. Police submitted leftovers of the dish to a laboratory for analysis. They found that it contained traces of bufotenin, a psychoactive compound that is typically found in toad toxin. The poisonous amphibians look similar to bullfrogs, which is how the tragic misidentification had occurred. Bufotenin, which is also found in mushrooms and some plants, is related to other psychedelics like psilocin and DMT. While in some circles it's sought after for its psychoactive effect, the man had unknowingly consumed a lethal dose. Number 3. Hand amputation. In August of 2018, an elderly South Korean man had his hand amputated after developing a severe infection from a raw seafood dish. 12 hours after the meal, the 71-year-old's hand had become horribly swollen and caused him excruciating pain. Doctors were able to drain the blisters and excise the infected tissue, after which the man was prescribed antibiotics. The treatment failed in combating the disease and necrotizing ulcers started forming on the man's hand. The damage was extensive and the infection was still spreading, so doctors had no choice but to amputate the limb. By consuming raw seafood, the man had contracted the flesh-eating bacteria Vibrio vulnificus. The time elapsed between the moment he consumed the dish and the amputation was only 25 days. Today's topic was requested by Guerrilla Warfare, Timur Gune, and Dana Ripley. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Raw Marmot Plague. In the spring of 2019, a small town on the border between Russia and Mongolia was quarantined following a disease outbreak. A couple had consumed the raw marmot innards, which they believed would have beneficial health effects. They ate the animal's gallbladder, kidney, and stomach. Before long, the couple, who were both in their late 30s, fell violently ill. The man succumbed to multiple organ failure within a week. The woman started vomiting blood and suffered excruciating headaches. She died in the hospital from toxic shock. Their deaths would later be attributed to septicemic plague. It's among the plague variations that were part of the Black Death, which wrought havoc on Europe during the 14th century, killing millions of people. Officials decided to quarantine the town due to suspicions that the victims had actually developed pneumonic plague, the most severe form of the disease and the only one that can spread from person to person. Roughly 118 people believed to have had contact with the couple were isolated and given antibiotics. Others in the town, with a population of about 1,300, had their movements limited and most remained inside for fear of catching the disease. The lockdown was lifted after no new cases of plague emerged. Number 1. Unnamed South Korean man. In August of 2019, a South Korean man passed away after he choked on an octopus dish. The 71-year-old was at a seafood restaurant and had ordered a meal that involved chopping up and seasoning the animal's tentacles. In the summer months, the dish is considered a stamina booster in South Korea. The tentacles were, however, still wriggling when the man started eating them. The suckers blocked his airways and he immediately started signaling to those around him that he had trouble breathing. Restaurant staff called the emergency services, but unfortunately, they arrived too late to save the man's life. Thanks for watching. Would you rather eat pufferfish that wasn't prepared by a trained chef, or give up all your favorite food for a year? Let us know in the comments section below.